Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Let's see who's in here today. Let's see. Hey Debbie. Debbie says, God bless. Help us get justice for Shanquella Robinson. Yes. Continued prayers for the family, especially continued prayers for the family for justice for Shanquella. Hey Raven, justice for Shanquella. Exactly. Lady Webbs, this is what I have been waiting for to try and make some medical sense to me. She says, I already work in forensics, but this case has me really thinking about adding nurse coroner as a subspecialty. I'm intrigued. So today I'm just going to go over it briefly, and then I'm going to share it as I usually do. And then I'm going to come back later on once I've actually had a chance to break it down myself, because I just got it this morning. And I had not fully went over it myself. Okay, so I'm going to share it in this live, and then tomorrow we're going to come back after everyone has looked over it and go over it in more detail. Okay, let's see. I think big issue is Mexico dropped the ball. Witnesses and evidence has been altered. Yes, most people have been saying from the beginning that Mexico did drop the ball on this, and that the FBI pretty had much to start from scratch, which I pretty much have been saying that they had to start from scratch in this whole thing. And I was hoping that they will be able to start from scratch and piece things together. But it looks like they are kind of saying it's insufficient evidence at this point. But to be honest, they also said that if more evidence becomes available, then they will obviously reconsider it and look into it as well. So it's not completely shut. And also, of course, Mexico still has their foreign arrest warrant for Dejane Jackson to be extradited, and the FBI is referring everyone to contact Dane De La Rosanaya in Mexico for what he has to say in his next steps in this whole process. We don't know, but I do know is that even if Mexico wants to extradite, they would still need the approval of the Department of Justice to extradite her. So it still kind of means that pretty much that it still is up to the Department of Justice whether or not she's extradited or something happens to her, because Mexico cannot have her extradited without the DOJ's approval. So we have to keep that in mind as well. So I did post information on my community tab, and as well as in an email for how you can contact both the Mexico officials and also U.S. officials in the Department of Justice. So if you have already sent an email, thank you so much. If you have not sent an email out, then make sure you go ahead and send that email. Hi, Coco, Linda. Hey. Mondi is here. Janice. Hey, y'all. Hey. Veronica, Miss Jams, Darlene. I don't know if I said hey, Darlene. Marion. We have Serge. Hey. Pamela. Now, I did have a medical examiner that was supposed to come before and I was waiting for my translator to feel better. But that was to discuss the one from Mexico. Now that we have the one from the FBI, there's no need, to be honest, for that one to be evaluated from Mexico. Okay, so let's see. We'll have Jane. Hey, Jane. LaWanda. So some people are coming out of bushes. Some people I haven't seen before. Miss Audrey is in the building. Hi, Danny Moss and the Bitches. I hope Department of Justice approves DJ's arrest as soon as for extradition. Hey, Miss Lisa Lee. So let me go ahead and actually send this to my mods, because I don't see any mod in here. And sometimes YouTube does not send out a notification. So give me a second to send at least the one mod here. Just give me a second to share this to my other channel. One second. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to actually share the Autopsy with everyone out here. But y'all know I like to share things with y'all. And once I share it, then y'all be able to review it and join in on the discussion in more detail. And I'll actually go ahead and share it now because, why not? The viewers are just as much involved as the creators. So I'm going to actually share this autopsy with you all so you can go over it, and then we will be back tomorrow to discuss it once everyone has went over it. It's kind of like I'm giving y'all an assignment, right? Say go over this autopsy, and then tomorrow we will discuss it in full detail. Today will be brief. So let me go ahead and find that link I had for y'all. Okay, here it is. So right now, what I'm sharing with you all right now in the audience is the full autopsy report for Shanquella Robinson that was, I guess, through the FBI, the second autopsy. So you'll be able to look at it, and I'll go ahead and label this as well. Okay, so now I have shared it, so everyone will be able to look at it today, and then we'll reconvene tomorrow to go over it. Well, Dani, wouldn't DJ be on the Interpol's list if there really was an arrest warrant? That's not always the case. They don't. If you I actually went over this in another video, so I don't really have time to discuss it in full detail, but I do have a video up on that. And pretty much, Interpol does not put everything public. Remember, Mexico wouldn't even put out Dejanay Jackson's name, right? Sue Ann Robinson had to do so. So Interpol does not publicize every person that's wanted. There's only certain circumstances where they do that. So that's a misconception. Okay, so I had the Storm Productions. Greetings, Dani, mods, and chat. I think we should compare the autopsies. Well, to be honest, most people have already went over the other autopsy plenty of times. So it's kind of like when you're reading it, you already compare it. The main one was already talking about Atlas luxation or delocation. So we pretty much had a great, we pretty much knew what that was saying. Miss Lisa Lee. Okay, let's see. Bonetta. So let me go ahead and get started. We're almost 10 minutes in. If I didn't speak to you, I will try to shout you out later. We're doing a live. It's not. Okay, so I have to get started on this. Hey, Ahmad. April Showers. Hey, girl. Hey. Ms. Jan's open-ended. What is the next U.S. house that we need to go to after FBI decision? And when do we go to Interpol? We kind of don't go to Interpol. It's Department of Justice is the one that holds all the weight. FBI does like investigations into the matter, but the Department of Justice handles extradition, and they are the ones that has to approve the extradition, right? So that's who we need to focus on, the Department of Justice. And of course, they have focused on Biden because the White House and like representatives, we definitely need to focus on the representatives as well of North Carolina and the higher ups. So I actually will gather up more. Everyone is higher up in the government, like as closer to the White House as you can get. But as far as North Carolina goes, is Department of Justice is definitely who we have to apply pressure to. Ruby Lee, hey. I'm going to read one more comment, then I'm going to get started. The autopsies do not reflect one another, or at least that's what it seems like. Yeah, there's it's conflicting information and between the two. The one boycott Mexico. Yes, we actually need to apply pressure to Mexico, definitely. And the reason I say apply pressure to Mexico is because they really, really need to make sure that the United States cooperates or at least obliges with the treaty, which is they want her to be extradited for femicide, which is a form of murder. It's a murder of a woman based on her gender. People have been saying, oh, this and that about a title, but murder is murder in my book. However, yeah, we need Mexico to say, hey, U.S., I am asking for extradition under the U.S.-Mexico treaty. This is femicide, a form of murder. We have submitted our evidence based on our findings, and we say that it's femicide, murder, and we want her to be extradited to Mexico. And the U.S. says, hey, okay, we have at least circumstantial evidence enough to approve this extradition, and we'll send her back. Okay. So, but the U.S. has to approve it through the Department of Justice. That's why I said we have to focus on. Okay, Jane. Okay, so yeah, I posted a link, so everyone has a link to the autopsy now, so you'll be able to review it. And I'm sure some of you have already clicked on it and are already reading over and going over it. Okay. White Sox, hey girl, hey, and about that 50+ life. Okay, let's go ahead and get started because I'm already way far in. I usually like to start at 5 minutes in. Okay, so okay. Why are y'all not seeing the same thing I'm seeing here? Oh, I see why. Wait. I was on the wrong one. Okay. Okay, it says Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office. It says that give the address of the medical examiner's office, report of autopsy examination. Decedent is, it says decedent is Shanquella Robinson, obviously. Let's see. Of course, it gives that document identifier, age 25, and Black female, authorization. It says authorized by Thomas D. Owens, MD, received from Mecklenburg County, identification, body identified by papers and ID tag, environment. It says date of exam. This was done November 17th, 2022. So this was actually done 2 days before her funeral. Okay, it was 2 days before her funeral, and I would say about 2 weeks after her death, because she passed away on October 29th, and it says November 17th. So it's like 2 weeks later. Time of exam, 9 a.m. Persons present, Liz Fisher and Richard Lane. So I guess these two, Liz Fisher and Richard Lane, are the assistants that were helping Thomas D. Owens, who is the forensic specialist. So again, yesterday I did question like who did the autopsy and his credentials. So let's go ahead and take a look at that really quickly for Thomas D. Owens. Okay, it says Thomas D. Owens. Let me zoom in a little bit because I know y'all like to see things. Okay, licensure, full medical license in the state of North Carolina since 2002. Current active license in North Carolina. It gives his license number, of course. Certification, it says board certified in anatomic and clinical pathology, American Board of Pathology, 2006. So that's he has passed that board, and since American Board of Pathology since 2006. Board certified in forensic pathology, American Board of Pathology, 2008. So since he's that's board certified, so that's 2023. So that's at least 15 years since that time period. For at least for the forensic pathology. And at least 17 years for the American Board of Pathology. Okay. Okay, it says prior forensic experience. It says testify as an expert witness in pathology in our forensic pathology and North Carolina criminal court proceedings, as well as federal criminal and civil court proceedings in multiple counties more than 60 times. So this is, I don't know when he last updated his curriculum, his CV, should I say, but he at least has testified as an expert witness in trial, where they bring in like an expert forensic pathologist or someone to go over like a medical examiner. So at least 60 times, and that was in federal, criminal, and civil proceedings. He has testified as an expert witness in forensic pathology and as a causation expert in civil court proceedings in North Carolina courts in multiple counties in other states. He has performed approximately 3,500 forensic autopsies, and he has functioned as a North Carolina medical examiner since 1999 and performed over 5,000 medical examiner death investigations. So even before he passed like the forensic testing and things like that, he actually was like a medical examiner, because sometimes you can be like a medical examiner just by being an MD of a certain experience, but of course you would then go on to get other qualifications or certifications so you can actually be in more of like the pathology field. So that's why it goes from that 1999, and then in 2006 it says American Board of Pathology, and of course for the forensics pathology for 2008. So that's showing his like trajectory there, or his resume, should I say. Okay, let's see. It says current employment and appointments. It says Chief Medical Examiner, Department Director, Mecklenburg County Office of the Medical Examiner, Charlotte, North Carolina, May 2014 to present. And it looks like he has his own private consulting business. And yeah, he does private consultations as well. Forensic pathologist and medical examiner. It looks like right now he's actually into his more like a private. And then previously Mecklenburg County Office of the Medical Examiner. So that's just giving some brief details into who did the autopsy, like the head person in charge. Okay, current professional activities. Let's go over a little bit of this. It says Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office, Department Director and Chief Medical Examiner overseeing the operation of the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office. So that he's actually still employed, it looks like here, as a Department Director and Chief Medical Examiner overseeing the operation of the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office. He's like one of the top people there, okay? Performance of forensic autopsy and forensic examinations, certification of cause and manner of death, autopsy facility supervisor, regional medical examiner supervisor for surrounding counties, consulted to regional county medical examiners, training regional medical examiners for North Carolina, teaching Wingate University physician assistant students. So he's also teaching at physician assistant students, member of the Mecklenburg County Child Fatality Prevention Team, lecturing. So of course, like that goes into teaching, testifying in court as like a medical examiner or forensic expert. Expert witness, should I say, member of the state medical examiner system regionalization committee. So yeah, so he has it looks like he is a top person in North Carolina, where at least for that county, to where they will actually go to him, right? And this right here, I can actually post a link to this if anyone actually wants to go over his full CV. It looks about 7 pages. A lot of times CB is more for like academic, but of course, so it'll be combined with like your work history and also your like your school, and like it's more details for CB usually than like a resume. It also like you're adding your awards, and like for instance your CV, you add in like your publications, like where you've been published, if you've been publishing in like scientific articles or scientific journals or anything like that, or research journals. Let's see that, and also professional organizations. So this CV is more detailed to me than it's usually geared towards people can see your full history, including academia. Okay, so let me go ahead and post a link to this, and then we'll get into the autopsy. And of course, for people that are visual, we have to see how he looks, right? We just have to see who this person is. So this is a picture I found of him. I hope this is him because I don't want to post him right. Okay. Okay, it says inside the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office in a grim year for homicides, they probe what violence leaves behind. Okay, so let's see here. It says a sharp rise in homicides in Charlotte last year put added strain on Dr. Thomas Owens. And remember, this is his name, Dr. Thomas Owens of Mecklenburg, who is directed. I think there's an error here. Okay, who directed the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office since 2014 and his staff. So yeah, so remember, this just goes along with his resume, his CV that we just looked over, that he directed the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office since 2014. Okay. I think they meant to put who is the director of the Mecklenburg. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so this is him right here, pretty much. I'm not going to go over this article. This is not a related article to what we're discussing. But it's pretty much discussing like Charlotte homicide cases and how much strain it puts on to that medical examiner's office. So I guess he has a lot of work since there's a lot of homicides in the area based on this. Okay, that's just a brief synopsis. I don't really know the full story or extent, but I will post a link to anyone that actually is interested in this as well. Did I post a link to the other CV? Sometimes I do stuff so fast that I don't even know if I did it. Yeah, I did post it. Okay, so that's that. And then this is this. Okay, so let's go back to the autopsy now. Again, this is just going to be brief autopsy review. And then once I have a chance to look over, because I just got it today, it was sent to me by my mod. Thank you, my mod. I was actually going to look for it myself, but hey, I looked this morning and then she had already sent it to me. So thank you to my mod Unbothered for sending me the autopsy. Okay. Okay, so we went over this right here. It says authorization by Thomas D. Owens. I went over his credentials and his CV, and I also shared it with you all. And okay, so this is like the main part. Like we can go over the whole autopsy, obviously, but this is the main thing that has caused such controversy and conflicting information between the two reports, the one from Mexico and the one from the U.S. It says cause of death undetermined. See summary and interpretation section. Undetermined. See, that's the problem. And trust me, if anyone out there, especially like the family, no one is going to settle or stop something, justice for a family member, when someone from a medical examiner's office tells them that the cause of death for their loved one is undetermined. Now, if it said a natural cause of death, as they were saying something before about cardiac arrest or something like that, and if it even said alcohol poisoning, okay, but it says undetermined. So this does not give a family closure. And after seeing that brutal attack video of how she was thrown by her neck and brutally beaten, all those punches, kicks to her body and everything else, and then she ends up on the live. So, and then it says undetermined. Yeah. So this is something that definitely will keep going, and hashtag justice for Shanquella will keep going and continue to seek for her justice. And Mexico has already issued the arrest warrant for Desiree Jackson to be extradited to Mexico to face her charge of femicide, which they usually evaluate under first and then probably will switch to homicide. Either way it goes, she needs to be extradited to Mexico and let them handle it, since obviously the U.S. does not wish to handle it. So let the Mexico handle it, right? It says forensic pathologist Thomas D. Owens, data final report, April 12, 2023. And of course, this was a date that was yesterday. So this is why it was released, because it says data final report. So now that it's final and they're pretty much not going to make any changes to it, they have said now this is the final report. Okay. It says the decedent is a 25-year-old female who, by reports, was on vacation with other persons as friends in Cabo, Mexico, where she was reported to have been heavily consuming alcohol on 10/28/2022, continuing into the early hours of 10/29/2022. She was also assaulted on the morning of 10/29/2022 at approximately 7 to 7:30 a.m. local time. A portion of this was captured on cell phone video. So let's stop here. This is from the of course, the Charlotte Mecklenburg, and it was like, of course, the FBI wanted this to be done, a second autopsy. And it's also saying she was assaulted on the morning of 10/29/2022 at approximately 7 to 7:30 a.m., which we all figured was morning time. A portion of this was captured on cell phone. So keyword portion of this was captured on cell phone. So why would someone use this wording portion? So that tells me that obviously it had to be more attacks on her person and more of an assault on her person, because why would you use the terminology or the word choice of portion? And what else it says here? And also another word they're using is assaulted. So based on that she was assaulted, and she was assaulted, it's not saying that it didn't say she was engaged in a mutual combat. It didn't say she was engaged in something mutual. It said she was assaulted. It's kind of like, why would I use that she was assaulted instead of she was engaged in a fight, or she was in a mutual combat, or a mutual, like something mutual. It says she was also assaulted, as in making her, of course, the victim, which we already know. Okay, so why wouldn't there at least be in the United States, if you're going to bring your own charges? I don't know, like federal, can they actually bring aggravated assault and battery? Because we see that on that video at least shows aggravated assault and battery. So she can at least be charged with that, right? I would have to look more into that to see when they bring federal charges, can they also bring something of a lesser extent or a lesser culpability charge, like maybe aggravated assault and battery, which we do see on film. Now I have to actually look into what federal charges can be brought. I was on the impression they could bring any, but we don't know. I don't know, to be honest, so I'm not going to put that out there as I'm 100% certain. But pay attention to how they say she was assaulted. It didn't say she was engaged in some kind of mutual thing. And then it says she reportedly went back to her room bed following the incident. And it says reportedly. It's not saying 100% that she went back to her room after this. This is something that who would be able to tell this information? Obviously, the Cabo 5 that were actually there at that time during the assault. Nazir came later on. That's why I'm saying the assault time period. Okay, who would be able to say that she went back to her room with 100% certainty? The FBI wasn't there. There's not cameras in the villa, so this had to come from the Cabo 5 that she went back to her room after that incident or whatever. Okay. It says there is no further information available on her condition until she was discovered shortly before noon, lying face down on the bed on the bathroom floor by housekeeping, who notified her friends. So after they said that she went back to her room, they said that there is no further information available on her condition until she was discovered shortly before noon. So it's okay. So they're saying that she was attacked maybe like at 7:38, and then it says shortly before noon. So that maid obviously did come to the villa around her a time. Like they said that she's a thorough house cleaner. She always shows up on time around that noon time, right? So that is showing here. Shortly before noon, lying face down on the bathroom floor. So now we see that she's lying face down on the bed, on the bathroom floor by housekeeping, who notified her friends. And oh my gosh, this is crazy, because this is how I envisioned it, that the maid found her and then she went to notify the friends. So it's kind of like going with that timeline, right? So face down on the bathroom floor is how they're trying to set it up that she fell. And they will also make sure that they will actually stage her body, in my opinion, to make it face down, because they knew that they already had been beating her in the face. They already knew that they had been, like, her head had that knot, her lip was busted, and then she had that hemorrhaging in her eye, right? So they knew that. So that's why they wanted her face to be face down, so they can account for why she's bruised in the face. And remember, they did lie and say that she drank too much and she fell in the bathroom, because they wanted everyone to think that she fell, and that's why she had the injuries. And I said that this would be an issue, because now the FBI would have to have 100% certainty that it was actually the brutal attack that killed her or unalived her instead of a fall. And I said that's why I added it back to the discussion. I said we have to remember that they also lied and said that she fell. Okay, let's continue on. It says, and then it says the housekeeper notified the friends. Okay, so that's what I figured happened, that the maid, they set it up for the maid. They knew the maid was coming. So they set it up like she fell in the bathroom, and then the maid found her, and then she went to the friends, and they actually shock and surprise. I could just hear myself saying this. I knew that this had to happen. Okay, and it says at around 2:15 p.m., the friends requested medical care for her, reporting that she had consumed too much alcohol and needed hydration. And this kind of goes with the concierge statement, but he actually said like 150 to 152 is when the first contact was reached for him through text, and that by 2:04 he had said the doctor was on the way. So it's still close to the round timeline, same timeline. So yeah, and then let's go on. And then we saw that Nazir arrived at 2:17 p.m. But yeah, okay, so Shanquella was evaluated at the residence by a doctor at around 3:15 p.m., who found her to be minimally responsive and clearly dehydrated. During attempts to place an IV for hydration at the residence, she went into convulsive crisis, followed by complete cardiopulmonary arrest at 4:49 p.m. Multiple rounds of resuscitation were unsuccessful, and she was pronounced deceased at the residence at 5:57 p.m. Now, some of this timeline is going along with Mexico's other timeline. I was thinking more of they would have more of their own, like a different timeline, I guess. But we'll see, because maybe because this was done early November 17th, so I don't know if they're actually going to have additional information, like updated information or more precise, exact information. Other than that, I don't know. We will see. Time will tell. Okay, so it says she underwent a minimally invasive examination, partial autopsy in Mexico on the morning of 10/30/2022. She underwent a minimally invasive examination. So basically, they're pretty much saying that Mexico's autopsy was inept. It was incomplete. It was only a partial autopsy. So they're saying that Mexico did not do a full autopsy, and that's why I guess they're saying that they needed to do their own autopsy. So I really didn't see it as, I guess, to be honest, it did, the pages were short. It wasn't really like a lot of pages in that autopsy, but I don't know what will actually be considered completely partial autopsy versus full. But I do know that they only took about 2 hours. So to me, I guess autopsy should take longer than 2 hours. So I guess, to be honest, it could have been that. But we will see. I will have to make comparisons between the two. Okay, it says her body was then returned to the United States. Her death certificate listed the cause of death as severe spinal cord injury with outlet luxation. On November 16, 2022, I was contacted by Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department Detective B. Fitch on behalf of the FBI and asked to perform a complete autopsy examination in order to determine her cause and manner of death. So a detective from the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, Fitch, contacted Thomas, who is the medical examiner that did this autopsy, the second autopsy, on behalf of the FBI, because, like sometimes the local police do assist the FBI, because, I mean, come on, there's more police officers, obviously, than FBI agents in the area. So obviously they would want other task force or at least detectives to help assist in certain things. So on behalf of the FBI, is requested for the second autopsy. So this second autopsy was requested by the FBI to be performed by Thomas Owens. And so they said that the first one was partial. They really wanted another autopsy to be done. Okay, it says the body was transported from the local funeral home to the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office for autopsy examination on November 17, 2022. And remember, Shanquella's her funeral was November 19, 2022. So this was 2 days before her funeral. So they did not exhume her body. Okay, this means that they did not exhume her body. Her body had not been buried yet because it was 2 days. They made sure, I guess, that they conducted this before she was buried. Okay. before the funeral. So 2 days before. It says, please see the report of investigation by the medical examiner for further historical details. Okay, it says autopsy examination reveals the embalmed body of a young adult female who has undergone prior partial autopsy examination with a sutured frontal scalp incision extending coronally from ear to ear along the hairline. There is also a suture vertical midline incision extending from the neck to just above the pubis. Further external examination reveals several areas of linear and geographical abrasions on the abdomen, pelvis, legs, and arms, as well as a focal abrasion with bruise and underlying subgaleal hemorrhage on the forehead. Now, okay, so we probably gonna need a medical examiner or someone with more medical expertise than I have to actually review some of these things, obviously. So underlying subgaleal hemorrhage on the forehead. It says abrasions are noted on the right cheek area, and there is a scleral or hemorrhage in the right eye. It says scleral hemorrhage in the right eye. Okay, now this is probably what Nazir meant before. He said that there was what did he say? That was hemorrhaging in her right eye. Remember, he said it wasn't a black eye. It was like a hemorrhaging, like a busted blood vessel in her eye, like the redness in the eye. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I'm trying to go down to where they have the diagrams. Wait. Body diagrams, attachments. Wait 1 second. See right there, they have like some sort of area right there on her head, like on the front of her head right there, like abrasions or something there. And that's probably where they said the knot on her forehead was. They have right there in like the torso area, the lower torso, like lower stomach area, like pelvic region. It looks like they have abrasions or injuries there. They have outlined. And then they have something right there, like abrasion looks like on her left ankle area. And then it also looks like there's something in her, like near her vagina area, the vaginal area right there in that region. If you actually see right here. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse moving or not. Yeah. It looks like there's abrasions or some kind of injury in her pelvic, her vaginal or vagina area, at least on the sides by there or in this area. There's impact. Where else? Then there also is injuries on her. Look at her in her like interior arm area right there on her left arm. If you see like in the center, like her inner arm, there's like abrasions there. And then we also have, what is that? There's on her right arm, there's like 2 abrasions or injuries there too. So to me, like, how can this be actually considered consistent with anything but obviously violence? Because violence, someone will have injuries all over their body. Oh, okay. There's some things right there. It's just like in the back right there is showing that that's tattoos. It's showing tattoos. So all these are not injuries. Some of these are like tattoos. It's showing like there's a back tattoo there. It's pointing and it says tattoos. And to be honest, I don't know what that says at the top right there. I know the second one points to tattoos, but the first one is kind of like, and it's also showing that on the front right there on the left hand side is actually showing, it says that right there, those like I guess incisions or marks there were from a prior autopsy. So it's saying like obviously a previous autopsy will have injuries or her marks on her from a previous autopsy. So they're saying that come from a previous autopsy. So you have to pay attention to some that if it says previous autopsy, that means that it wasn't as a result of the brutal attack or anything. It was a result as of someone performing an autopsy on her. Let's see here. And some of these things are like defensive wounds, probably to me, because she had her hand up trying to block blows or block hits to her body. So sometimes when you have your hands up trying to block hits to your body, that will actually lead to you having injuries, like hits on those areas. And to me, it looks like some of these are defensive wounds of her trying to block as well, or shield herself. And then let's see here. And then also right there, like even besides, what is this right here? It looks like even besides the knot on her forehead. Now what's interesting, I don't see anything like for her lips. Like I don't see anything. Maybe in the full report they have something about her lips. I don't see anything like outlined for that area, but I do see something below her eye, like on the front below her left eye, like close by her nose, like on her cheek area. On her cheek area, I see something there. So this is why they will put her face down, is because they want to have an excuse for why she has facial injuries. So that's why I said it was important to first keep in mind that they not only said that she drank too much, but they also said that she fell. And right here it's showing attachments. Of course, it says attachments. They did body diagrams, neuropathology, consultation report. That was done by Wake Forest Baptist Hospital. Dr. William Harrison. It says toxicology report from Laboratory of Forensic Chemistry in Mexico. So this one has a toxicology report. And remember the other one, I don't recall having a toxicology report. And that's something that we all wanted to look at. It just said that her cause of death was outlaws the location, but it did not actually give like the results of an autopsy. I mean, toxicology report. So let me go look at that. Hold on. One second. Because there were some people like putting out there that she had this or that in her system. Hold on one second. Now this is 19 page. I'm also going to share the link because I have not went over this myself. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it and then come back tomorrow. Let's see here. Okay, and also I just glanced across and I saw this. It says further examination reveals that all organs are in their correct anatomic location, right? Anatomic location. So it says all. Pay attention. It says all the organs are in their correct anatomic location. So that means that there is no like whole thing with like her organs being sold or removed from her body. All the organs are there. Because I know there's some stories or things before that happen to people and their organs are missing. Her organs are still there. We're still there at the time of the autopsy in their correct place. Okay. Okay, let me see something here. Now I do know that the toxicology report is included. I'm trying to find that. Come on. Obviously, it should be in at the end. It should be after this. Why did I even scroll up? Because it should be in the end. On. Okay, right here is actually going into more diagrams, and of course, it's left, right. There's there it shows the right eye, and that's the eye, I guess, where they had the hemorrhaging, like the blood vessel, busted blood vessel. And then there's more injuries like on the side of her, like her sides right there. Abrasions. So there's abrasions on like her right, on her right side. There's abrasions there. I think it says geographic abrasions continue from lower at the abdomen area. Hold on one second. Okay. Okay, neuropathology report. Now, this was the neuropathology report was done by a separate doctor, a different doctor at the hospital. So keep that in mind that the full report is not by Thomas. One part, the neuropathology, was done by someone, a doctor at the NC Baptist Hospital. So keep that in mind. And then now there's a toxicology report. Let's see here. It says no ethanol results listed in report. So I guess no alcohol results listed in report. Video conference on April 3rd, 2023 with medical examiner and other persons in Mexico, including lab. Ethanol was tested, but no results were included in report. Ethanol report. So it says ethanol was tested, but no results were included in report. Okay, if it was tested, why weren't the results included? So I guess they're saying that they had like a conference on April 3rd, which is recently 2023. It says there was a video conference with the medical examiner and other persons in Mexico, including the lab. So I guess like the medical examiner in the United States, Thomas, had like a video conference with Mexico's lab that did the other autopsy to discuss, like, I guess the findings or the discrepancies, I guess, and discuss like the alcohol findings. And I guess Mexico said that it was tested, but the results were not included. So why wouldn't they be able to now include it if it was tested? It should be recorded, right? I don't know. Okay, Mr. Sunni Jasil Popoco Milan. So the Sunni Popoco Milan is actually in that unofficial police report, is the investigator that did the interrogations and questioning of the concierge and others' statements. It's kind of like the police officer or investigator that came out that day. It says state agent of criminal investigation assigned to the Special Criminal Investigative Unit for Miscellaneous Crimes and Prosecution, delivered, and let's see here. Okay, it says problem to address. The investigating agent requested testing of the biological sample of the female body who in life bore the name of why did I spell her name wrong? Shanquella Bernarda Robinson for the following: detection of drug abuse and controlled therapeutic drugs in trace A4, a brown paper bag containing a test tube with a blood sample approximately 6.0 ml. The sample milliliters. The samples were received on 1/3/2023. Why was it received on 1/3/2023? Okay, hold on. Okay, it says amphetamines. Amphetamine, it says not detected. Methamphetamine, not detected. Child pregabalin. I don't know how to show these drugs. Anyway, it says not detected. So pretty much it looks like a lot of MDA, not detected. MDMA, not detected. I don't see a lot of these things are not detected or showing up. You scroll through here. And to be honest, for her to have drugs in her system, that means that they will have to go to Mexico and actually purchase some, because obviously to get through customs and get through Mexico with anything, that obviously you actually will be detected or found you won't be able to get through that whole airport and everything else with drugs. Come on. You'll have a better luck of going across the border in like some kind of car vehicle than actually trying to fly out with some kind of drugs. You have to actually purchase the drugs once you land. So to be honest, I did not expect her to have any thing found in her system like this anyway, at all. So yeah, this is the toxicology results right here. But I guess ethanol was not included in this. That's what I got from this, but I have to check through here. And it's continued on with other drugs, morphine, codeine, different things here. Methadone, fentanyl. All these things are showing not detected. Conclusions: after applying the techniques described above to the biological sample of the female body who in life bore the name of Shanquella Bernarda Robinson, the following conclusions are established. The presence of the drugs listed in the results table was not detected in the blood sample identified as trace A4. Second, the presence of controlled therapeutic drugs listed in the results table was not detected in the blood sample identified as trace A4. And that wraps up the report, after the toxicology report. Let me actually look at some of your comments. And pretty much what I'm going to do is I have to actually go over this whole report, because I definitely don't want to. And also, if there's anyone that's like a medical expert or has more experience within the medical field and you actually want to come on my panel to discuss this, I also will look for someone, because I'm not a channel that likes to put out misinformation or actually misinterprets anything. So I definitely don't want to do that, especially with this case or any case for that matter. So I will be looking for someone that is more of an expert to go over everything in extensive detail. And I only will report on things once I've done my own research. That's just to be professional and also not to spread misinformation on what I'm viewing or seeing. Even like when you try to interpret something, if you misinterpret it, that can also be a form of misinformation. So I'm definitely not going to be doing that on my channel, as y'all all know. So I will be reaching out. Even if I can get the person that did the autopsy, I doubt they will come or even speak. I don't know, but I will try since I do have their contact information. But there are some things that are self-explanatory and I can do my own research and homework on, and then I'll be able to explain myself as well. So let's see here. So let me go ahead and post the autopsy again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out and try to find someone with more expertise than myself to go over the rest of the autopsy report. And I'm also going to do my own homework on this as well. And then y'all can also review it. And read your comments and thoughts on what y'all have seen so far. And then that will be pretty much it for today. But like I said, I have not went over the full thing myself. But what I'm gathering from it, someone did mention something that the report said something about blunt force, that there's evidence of blunt force, but I have not seen it because I have not read this whole thing in its entirety to actually be able to see where that's at located, what page number. And there's no ability to search this document because it's not searchable right now in its current state. It's like a scanned copy. So I will have to extract the text from it in order to be able to search it. So if anyone knows a page that's the one about blunt force. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let me go ahead and share this document again. And again, it's 19 pages. So we definitely will come back tomorrow to discuss it. And by then, hopefully I have somebody that can join the panel to discuss this, or even the doctor himself or someone that can join the panel. Okay, so hold on a second. Full autopsy report. So to me, to be honest, the FBI should not have even made a statement. I think they kind of rushed to make a statement to appease everyone and to like just put out something. I think they rushed to make this statement, and I really don't think, to be honest, they did a thorough job on this, because you cannot just say that you don't have enough evidence when the evidence that you do have is enough to at least charge someone, or at least to extradite. Like, you might not want to handle this case because you feel like when it goes to trial that you won't win. However, Mexico can still handle this and handle the case and extradite them, right? So I don't really understand why the United States does not want to at least extradite. But to be honest, I have said from a long time ago that there's a lot of loopholes. Pay attention, y'all. I have stated that there's a lot of holes that a defense attorney can use to get Dejanay off. I said this, and that's true. It is. There's so much things that can be twisted and spun, and narratives can be to get Dejanay off. There's too many loopholes. But I was hoping that the FBI and DOJ would like be able to do like a thorough, exhaustive investigation, as they stated, and then cover up all those loopholes so Dejanay won't be able to walk. But I knew it. I knew, and I kept pointing it out. I'm like, I don't even want to mention this, but a defense attorney could say this, a defense attorney could say that. So pretty much the FBI and DOJ is not going to bring charges and then end up losing in court. They will only bring charges that they feel like they can take this evidence to court and win. Because, I mean, who wants to say, oh, I actually got off, the feds brought me to court and I actually won. They have like a more of a history to say that when the feds bring you to court, they're going to win because they have a stack of evidence against you. But the evidence, to be honest, everything can be flipped and spun into a different direction by a good defense attorney. And you have to have strong, solid evidence in order for a defense attorney not to be able to pull these things. The Cabo actually had a good plan. Their plan was to say not only did she drink too much, which obviously is a lie, but And also, what happened to the ethanol results, like the alcohol results? It's still this. I got to read over this whole autopsy to see what happened with the whole results of the alcohol testing, right? But they said that not only did she drank too much, but she fell in the bathroom. And then they pull her face down in the bathroom so the maid will find her. So when the maid finds her face down, they can say, well, she had the head injury is because she fell in the bathroom, and then the busted lip, and then the whole eye, everything on her face happened. Injuries happened because she fell in the bathroom. So then now they will have to actually distinguish between 100% certainty that it wasn't because of a fall and it was actually because of the brutal attack. They would have to have 100% evidence. And trust me, and then there's also, since the maid found her and then Nazir came and then the doctor came, they would have to have 100% proof that nobody else caused any other injuries on her in that whole timeline. Right. So I knew it was a lot, to be honest, because of they said it was a fall. Now, they had said it was just alcohol poisoning. That's one thing. That's easy. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's not alcohol poisoning. However, since they said it was a fall, then that adds in a different element and something else that the defense can use. That, oh, this could have been caused by a fall. This could have been caused by a fall. Things like that. So the best bet in this case is for her to be extradited to Mexico and then for them to prosecute over there. And most likely she'll get something over there. She'll get something charged over there. Okay, so let me read some of your comments. Let me scroll back up because I'm behind. And yeah, they're pretty much saying in this ruling, it says undetermined and that she did not have a spinal cord injury, like a broken spine. Okay, wait, hold on a second. Hey, Debbie. Debbie says, God, please help us get justice for... okay, I already read that already. That's the beginning of the live. Lady Wells, have you got it? I posted it. Do you have it now? It says, can you post a link to the autopsy, Dani, or can you send me a copy to review? I have posted and we will be back tomorrow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to email different people so I can see if I can have somebody on here that has more medical expertise, so I won't be spreading misinformation or anything on this report or misinterpreting information. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to post it one more time, then I have to get off here, y'all. And obviously, this is 19 pages. I have a lot of homework to do myself in order to come back tomorrow to be able to go over this autopsy, the full autopsy. Okay, let's see. Ms. Jam says, sir, yes, they should address that warrant and execute crime committed under Mexico laws, at least for DJ. Yes, they should at least honor that extradition request. Hey, avoidable owl. Minnie Colin. Mexico has already submitted, they already stated before, they already submitted extradition paperwork, right? And a request. So to be honest, I don't know why the FBI said to talk to Dani De Rosa Anaya when he already stated that he already submitted the extradition paperwork. So why would she say to talk to him? If he already submitted it, then that means the Department of Justice needs to approve of it. Simple. Because just like Sue Ann Robinson said, there's like a back and forth. Like, talk to Mexico, talk to FBI, talk to DOJ. It's like back and forth, like a ping pong ball. And it's kind of annoying, to be honest. That's why I said in my last email and on my community post to email both Mexico and the U.S. so that way you could talk to both at the same time instead of going back and forth. Seems like they don't know either. The cause of death is undetermined, so they don't even know. Like, they don't have the cause of death. It says undetermined. But there are some things in the autopsy report that people have brought to my attention. But to be honest, they did not give me a page number, and I have not looked over this whole thing, and I don't have time to go over the full thing right now. But they said some things in here are kind of like conflicting information and actually points towards there's more to what happened to Shanquella to where the FBI could bring charges. But I would have to actually review this full thing. But I pretty much knew that they staged her body face down, or they did something to stage her body, and that the maid found her, and then the maid went and found the friends and said this or that. I knew that had to happen. To where they did that, so the maid will be able to find her, and then the maid would go, "Hey, your friend is face down in the bathroom," or something like, "Your friend is in the bathroom, something's wrong," and then they would go in there and act surprised and shocked, like, oh my gosh, what happened?" The FBI took statements from all the Cabo, according to earlier statements. Yeah, face down. And since when do people really, like, most time people don't really fall like face down. They're at least like, I don't know. To me, that's just like complete stage, but I think she was in her room, and that DJ had the master bedroom. To be honest, I'm kind of confused on the whole bedroom thing. I actually need to go back and look at everything about the whole bedroom things going on. No mention of how she got dressed. This right here. To be honest, this was actually done early on before the complete investigation was done by the FBI. So to me, they were still kind of heavily weighing on Mexico's reports and not just U.S. findings, right? Because this was early on. Remember, this was done on November 17th. And it was requested on November 16th by the Detective V. Fitch, and it was completed on November 17th. This is 2 days before the funeral and right after the FBI started. So we actually have to wait until the FBI other reports come out, because there could be different timelines or different things going on once the complete investigation. Pretty much, there's a difference between the FBI statements made like right after this examination, like 2 weeks after her death, and then now that investigation is somewhat complete, or they have all the statements and all the testimonies and more evidence. The whole timeline of events the FBI have now would be more reliable, should I say. So I'm pretty much waiting for new evidence to be put out from the FBI based on their full investigation, and not their investigation 2 weeks after Shanquella passed away, but their investigation like 5 months later was that conclusion. And also, where's the alcohol results, like ethanol results, right? Where are their results at? Why is that not included in here? Hey, Lisa, haven't seen you in a minute. Anybody can see this cover up. Somebody's covering up for these kids. I don't know what's going on really, but what I do know is that the U.S., to me, they rushed to make this decision. I think that all the pressure from everybody to solve this case, they just pretty much, to me, gave up, and they're not really. To be honest, I really don't think they're doing everything they can possible to make a solid case. And that's my opinion. And also that they waited too long to actually start the case. They waited too long to start an investigation. It's not totally their fault. It's not entirely their fault. It's also Mexico who actually they dropped the ball from the very beginning. And remember, even like someone like from, I think it was the U.S., it was the embassy, they put out there was no evidence of foul play, or somebody put out something, there was no evidence of foul play at the very beginning. That's confusing. She fell in the bathroom, but FBI autopsy has markings on front and back on body. Okay, yeah, exactly. That's not conclusive with the fall, because a fall would be only on a certain region. Let's say she did fall face forward, like her face fell down, like, right? That will actually kind of say, okay, well, that's for her face area, her eye, like even like an eye, that's more of a direct hit. Like, how would you fall on your face and all of a sudden your eye has that in there? Because usually your nose will be the one that's broken. Like, if you fall like face down, your nose will be more broken than your eye will be affected. Come on, like your nose is one that's more protruding outside of your body. So that would at least be more. Why wouldn't her nose be like smashed or broken and including if she fell face down, like your nose is the one that's projecting past your face. It doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, so why, if that she fell face down, then why are there injuries on other parts of her body that has like her exterior part of her body? Not exterior, but you know. So anyway, why are there injuries on her like back area and other regions, right? It doesn't make sense. That's what I said before. It's not consistent with the fall. A fall would be in certain regions where the person fell at, and then a violent attack will be all over somebody because they'll be hit all over their body in random places. So it's definitely not consistent with, and that's why they put undetermined. They put undetermined because they still, to be honest, it's their need. If once something is undetermined, that means there's still need for more investigation. If you do a complete autopsy of someone's body and you still can't determine their cause of death, then that's a problem. And then you see a brutal attack on the video, and then you see someone with marks all over their body or abrasions all over their body, then that's more consistent with it being from that violent attack, right? But they also stated that if more evidence comes out, then they'll also re-examine it. So this is kind of like saying we're not going to actually shut this completely because we're just going to put this undetermined for now, and then more. That means, to be honest, if they actually just put anything on there besides undetermined, then that will actually kind of close the case. But since they put undetermined, that means it can always be changed later. Yeah, and to be honest, that's why I was like, we have to add this back into the discussion, because I was like, wait a minute. When I was talking to Isaiah, I was like, wait a minute, something is missing here. They did actually, why weren't you suspicious of her face injuries? And he said, oh, remember they said she fell. And I was like, oh yeah, Daniel De La Rosa Naya did put it out November 23rd, 2022, like 4 days before, 4 days after Shanquella's funeral, that the Cabo had lied and said that she fell in the bathroom too. So I'm like, oh yeah, so we definitely have to add that back to discussion. And look at here, exactly, we definitely, that's the problem. Exactly. If the nurse found her at noon, why didn't they call for help until 2:15? Exactly. And remember, the concierge said he has text messages, and the text messages actually came in at 1:50 to 1:52 p.m. for her asking for help, right? Dejanay. So even if we go by the concierge statement of 1:50 to 1:52, that means that before noon, I would say around maybe 11:30 a.m., let's say, right? The maid finds her. Then why did they wait 2 hours to contact the concierge? And that's what I'm telling y'all before, that to me, they were waiting it out. They were waiting for her to pass away from her injuries. So that's something else the FBI should take into account. Why didn't y'all get her help right away after the maid found her, right? And at that point, she will actually have those same symptoms of not being responsive and everything. Why did y'all wait? Right? Why didn't, like, isn't there something that could be even for that, like waiting to get someone help when you see that they're in need of emergency help and you prolong their time, you don't actually get them help? Pretty much watching them die, right? Then it says FBI is saying they can't prosecute. Can we, as a public now, can request Freedom of Information Act, just like we did with Kanika Jenkins' case? To be honest, I'm sure that more information will be released. And to be honest, if they say the case is closed, then yes, information can be requested, but they have not really said 100% that it's closed. They have not 100% said it's closed, to be honest. So to be honest, I doubt right now they release anything. And I don't think they'll release anything until they figure out what Mexico is going to do and how they're going to handle this whole extradition thing. Because I mean, they said that they are not, they said there was 2 investigations going on. They said the FBI and DOJ was conducting a separate investigation from Mexico. So Mexico still has their investigation and everything else. So then they still want extradition. However, I don't think that we have to keep in mind that the Department of Justice has to approve the extradition. So Mexico can't just say, oh, we want her extradited, and now you have to do it. No, the United States still has to approve the extradition. And to approve it, they have to actually think is enough circumstantial evidence to extradite her. And if they are already saying that it's insufficient evidence, then why would they now change it to there is? And now what I was told before, what I heard before, should I say, was that to extradite, you only need circumstantial evidence. You don't need evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Now, in order for the FBI to bring charges, they do need beyond a reasonable doubt, which I already figured that they will actually have a hard time because, like I said a million times, a good defense attorney can pull a lot of things, to get Dejanay off. So they need beyond a reasonable doubt. But however, to extradite somebody, you don't need beyond a reasonable doubt. So I'm still saying that they can still try to extradite her, but will they? I don't know. Because, like, for instance, if I say I can't extradite somebody, if I say that I'm not going to charge somebody due to insufficient evidence, then why would I extradite somebody and say that I do have at least circumstantial evidence? I mean, I could, because I could say, well, to charge them in the United States, I need beyond a reasonable doubt, and to extradite, I only need circumstantial evidence. But then people will question you and say, well, why aren't you charged? It's like a mess, y'all. To be honest, it's a mess. Like I already said, a mess. Only thing we can hope for now as the Department of Justice to gather themselves and just re-examine the evidence and look at things more closely and go ahead and just approve the extradition and let Mexico handle it. I mean, just wipe their hands of it and just let Mexico handle it. No one told them to really jump in anyway from the beginning and just intervene and then not do a proper investigation themselves. I mean, just extradite Dejanay Jackson at least and then let Mexico handle it. Simple. But I don't know if they will or not. We will see. Angel Person says, no, Wiggins said Shanquella was slumped over the toilet. He said that, remember, Nazir, based on his flight tickets and his arrival video, he did not arrive until 2:17 p.m. So what he says, to be honest, that won't hold up in court because his statements will only be hearsay because he said they said that the maid found her. So his statements are only hearsay, and that's why a lot of times hearsay is not held up in court or taken into account. They will only go by people who were actually there, their testimony or their statement, not his, really, to be honest. I mean, they'll take it into consideration, like, okay, that's a statement, but it's still hearsay because he wasn't there. Most definitely, Dani, it takes longer than 2 hours to do an autopsy. Exactly. These statements, I'm sure, will be released in the coming days. I'm sure. I don't know why they will be withheld, but to be honest, the FBI has not 100% said it's 100% closed because they're still saying they're looking for a new, like they'll look at new evidence if it comes in, and I don't think they'll release anything. I bet if anyone requested, they're gonna say no. They're not gonna release it until this whole thing is completely known as closed, and by that I mean they have to be 100% sure that this will never go to trial before they release the information. And I mean by trial, that means in Mexico or the U.S. So until then, that information will not be released by U.S., should I say. Because if they release all the information, then Mexico decides to take the trial, or extradition does happen, then all of that can like kind of harm the case if too much information is put out there. So I don't think it will be released until we hear from Mexico. So why would they embalm before a full autopsy? Was that the timeline? Well, I was told, I informed that in order for them to transfer her body from the Mexico to the United States, that they had to embalm the body. There are certain procedures and protocols of what you have to do to transport a body. Oh, and I forgot that another person is Dina King. Let me pull her information up. Dina King is also the one that's on the press release statement over this whole thing. Remember I told you before about Dina King? Where's her email? Where is it? So this person right here, message her as well, send her email, and tell her to extradite Dejanay to honor Mexico's arrest warrant request and extradite Dejanay Jackson. And remember, she's the one that's on the actual press release statement. She actually is the U.S. attorney that can actually approve. This is one of the people that can approve the request to extradite Dejanay Jackson. Is Dina King. She needs to get her butt on Twitter. Get off Twitter, Miss Dina King, and approve this extradition. Okay? So that's who we need to contact, Miss Dina King. Okay. Wait, okay. I'll read a few more comments because let's see here. I just have to go somewhere and then I have to come back later on for another channel. Hold on. Yeah, too many injuries for a fall. Let's see here. The dad did not pay for an autopsy. The autopsy was done the following morning of the murder. Shanquella's father did not pay for the first autopsy that was done in Mexico. That was obviously done before he even knew where she was at. And he also did not pay for the one requested by the FBI. The one requested by the FBI obviously will be done by the government. They did not pay for any of the autopsy. The one I don't believe the FBI did an investigation and came back with nothing. I believe the FBI did an investigation. However, I believe they started late in the game. And I also believe that they have evidence, but not beyond a reasonable doubt evidence. And like I said, I was hoping that they have more like text messages, videos, or more evidence. But I have already said a long time ago, to be honest, that as I went through the autopsy and as I went through all talk to different people, that there is a lot of loopholes in this case that a good defense attorney could get Dejanay off. And I have said that. So if I have said that, even as a lay person, well, I can't say really any full background on myself because obviously I have people that are stalkers. However, I can say that there's a lot of loopholes for a good defense attorney to get Dejanay off. And the FBI knows this. So they know that if they took this to court and they didn't have strong, solid evidence, that Dejanay would get off and then they will look bad because their evidence wasn't sufficient enough to get her nailed or locked up. Right. And to be honest, there is a lot of loopholes. You have to actually, when you look at what evidence you have, you say, well, we have this video. Well, I said before, well, the video doesn't show her deceased. And that after that video ended, I'm sure that more happened. And since we don't know what more happened, then and there's no video, I was hoping that the FBI would actually have more video than what was posted. They'll have more statements or they'll have more evidence to add to the video because I already knew the video wasn't enough. And the reason, once they add in that she fell, then now you have a new issue because now the defense attorney can say, oh, well, she fell and that's why she has these injuries. And just like they have a medical examiner that can come in and say, no, this is because she was thrown and beat that's why she died. They can have another medical examiner explain those same injuries and say that these injuries can be consistent with the fall because of X, Y, and Z. Trust me, there can be always a different side of the story, a different defense can pull. There also the defense can say that Dejanay reached out to the concierge and requested emergency help, and then the concierge sent over a doctor instead of the 911 like ambulance or paramedics, which was true. She did say alcohol poisoning and I need emergency help, and then a doctor was sent instead a travel doctor instead of a emergency help. So they can say that she tried to get help for Shanquella, and that's not really consistent with someone trying to unalive someone. And then they can say that Shanquella was like she was alive. She went back to her room, and then later on the maid came. The maid could have did something to her. How do we know that the maid didn't do something to Shanquella in the bathroom? Right? And then they can say, well, how do we know Nazir was left alone with her? So how do we know Nazir didn't do something to her that caused her death? And then they can say, yeah. So to be honest, there are so many ways they shift the blame to somebody else, and there's so many. Oh, that she was okay out in the video. We see that she's still alive, so she did get up from that spot and she did walk to the bathroom, and then she maybe was kind of dizzy or disoriented from that brutal attack, and then she fell in the bathroom because she was dizzy, and then she fell down, and that killed her. I mean, to be honest, there are so many ways people can spin this whole thing, and without video evidence, without confession, without certain things, they know that the defense attorney can pretty much kind of argue themselves out of this and then reduce to nothing, right? Because they would have to prove that it's 100% a homicide. And then they could say that Shanquella would have survived if the doctor had gotten emergency help instead of trying to give her IV for alcohol poisoning if she did a proper assessment. So that Dejanay actually didn't kill her because she was still alive when Nazir and the doctor got there. And then the doctor didn't properly get her help. So then that's why she passed away. It was not due to the homicide or brutal attack. It could go on and on and on, to be honest. But the problem with the FBI is that they're not really going to bring something to court unless they know they can win against the defense. And that's where we're at with it. Her, or they stomped, kicked, punched that baby to death. It definitely is a brutal attack, and we know it. I'm actually going to get off because I need to actually look over this full autopsy report and go over it and see what I can find in great detail. Yeah, there were reports of a second autopsy, so I'm sure that they wanted us. To be honest, in my mind, I'm not 100%, but I would think that the family wanted their own autopsy, and at that point, the FBI stepped in and they wanted to take over this. And meaning is, if the family wanted their own autopsy done, and they would go to a private autopsy, get it done privately, the FBI says, hey, we are actually going to investigate this case. So instead of the family getting their own private autopsy done, we will actually step in on this investigation, and we will get our own autopsy done, and we will actually make sure it's by somebody with credentials and someone that has a lot of knowledge on autopsies. They will actually choose their own person. Think about it. If you're investigating something, are you planning to investigate something, and the family says they want their own autopsy, you will step in and say, well, I actually would want to choose who is going to do this autopsy, because I want to actually make sure that it's somebody that we can use in our investigation, in our reports, and in court to be an expert medical examiner on this topic. So I would actually want to choose this. So I'm pretty sure the FBI stepped in and said they would actually take over from here, and they will actually do a second autopsy, and then the family will let them go ahead and do it. So what's the point? I mean, why would the family do their own, and then the FBI says they're already going to do one? And as you can see, the FBI stepped in right away, and they said on November 16th, they reached out. They had the detective Fish to reach out to the medical examiner to do an autopsy on Shanquella. And then they did it. They Herb and sped and did it. They Herb and did it on November 17th, and then she was buried November 19th. Right. So in that short time. So I'm sure they didn't do their own because the FBI had already stepped in and said they would actually do one. And that was only a short time period. And sure enough, the FBI surely did right before the funeral. You passed it. It's not included, but mentioned. Kiva, the FBI dropped the ball on performing the second autopsy. This is actually 2 weeks. They actually did theirs 2 weeks later. It's saying that this autopsy was done on November 17th, so it's 2 weeks after the Shanquella was unalived. Okay. Now their final report, when they actually like released the autopsy and full statement and said it was their final report on it, this was released later, but their examination of the actual body was done on November 17th. And keep in mind, she was buried on November 19th. So they actually did her autopsy. In order to do an autopsy, you have to have the body, and her body has been buried since November 19th. Okay. So they actually did the autopsy 2 days before she was buried. So people were under the impression that she was exhumed, like her body was dug up and then autopsy done. But no, it was actually done before she was buried on November 19th, 2 days before. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down and skip some comments. So she has some type of defensive wounds on her hands, but in the video, she clearly did not have her hands up. So there's definitely more to it. Yeah, there's definitely more. And remember, in this statement I just read, it says a portion of the video. So they obviously know that more video, there's more to the assault. Hey, Regina. Okay, I'm gonna skip down, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Thanks for everybody being here. Make sure you hit the like button, gets us in the algorithm. I'm gonna post a link one more time to the autopsy, and then I will see y'all tomorrow, and we will go over it. By then, everybody should have a chance to review it. Yes, God is the final judge in answer to this, and they will not get away with this. Definitely not. I think that video went viral about November 14th, 15th, around that time, November 14th or 15th. Yes, continued prayers for the family. Yeah, they definitely need more evidence, and that's the whole problem with this whole thing. The FBI is not going to take anybody to court unless they feel like they can win. And I have already said a million times myself that that video isn't enough. And what I was hoping for was that behind the scenes, the FBI was collecting all kinds of electronic evidence, Google search results, text messages, other videos, other evidence to add on to what they already have, which is that video, but apparently they still don't. And to be honest, I actually need to see all the evidence myself, because just because someone is in an expert position or supposed to be like in a professional position, it doesn't mean that they don't miss out. They won't miss out on some key details. So we will see. So all the information needs to be released. And like someone said, through the Freedom of Information Act, things can be requested. But to be honest, it has to be requested at a time. If they release this full autopsy, then most likely it's time now for them to release other information. Right? But at the same time, that doesn't mean anything, because I mean, to be honest, I feel like they will wait a little bit until they see what Mexico is going to say or what Mexico's statement will be. There should have been more collaboration or cooperation and more. It seems like to me a lot of animosity between Mexico and U.S. It's kind of like it should have been more like a collaboration. It's always like, oh, we're doing our separate investigation. Oh, Mexico didn't do a good job, or U.S. didn't do it. It's like a back and forth between the two instead of more of a collaboration. And what we needed is more of a collaboration, not pointing fingers or saying who's inept, and everything like that. We needed more of a cooperation between the two to handle this, obviously. He's not gonna change the story to that. I actually need to go over this full autopsy because someone already sent me some clip notes, and it also gives more of a timeline of her death in this death certificate. I mean, not death certificate, but autopsy. So I will go ahead and set up a live, and I will see y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow. I need to go over the full autopsy. So does everyone press 1 if you already have it? Press 2 if you don't have the full autopsy report. Press 2 if you don't have the full autopsy report. I will post it again for one last time, and then I will see y'all tomorrow because there's a lot to discuss. But I'm not going to discuss something until I actually read over the 19 pages. I need to read over the full 19 pages, take my own notes, examine it, and then come back to y'all tomorrow. So press 2 if you need it, and then I'm going to post it one more time, and then this live will end, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Yeah, they should have got her immediate help. They obviously waited, and like I figured, they waited because they wanted her to pass away. Because how can she speak for herself or talk for herself or tell what happened? If she's deceased, then they'll be able to cover up this whole thing. If she's alive, to be honest, I think they waited. They see that she wasn't able to communicate verbally, that something was wrong with her. Once they observed her condition and what she was able to do and not able to do, that's when they decided to wait it out and then hope that she passed away so they'll be able to get away with it. I mean, you can't cover up something if someone is alive, but you can cover it up if they're deceased. Dani, I agree. In my opinion, they rushed to hurry up with conclusions as they were pressured to get it done. So if they listened to phone calls, check text messages, interrogate the 6, and none of it is used. Yeah, I think they rushed because, to be honest, this is what I think. I think that they already had felt like they were already defeated and that they really didn't have enough evidence, but they didn't want to tell us that they didn't have enough evidence. They didn't want to come to the public and say, we don't have enough information. We're actually not going to press charges. So I felt that they had this information already and they knew they were not going to press charges, but they were holding out that maybe someone will confess or some other evidence would appear or something will come up. And now that Sue Ann Robinson and everybody put pressure on them through the White House to come to some kind of conclusion, they finally just came out and said, yeah, we don't have enough evidence. We don't feel like we will have a strong case and if we take this to trial. So this is what I want everyone to take away from what I'm saying is they are not going to press charges in the United States unless they feel that they can win in the court of law and they can win in trial. And I'm telling you that they need a lot of evidence to win in court because there's too many loopholes. And what I was hoping was that behind the scenes that they had all sorts of evidence. Like I was just imagining like a whole slew of evidence, so much evidence that nobody will be able to get off because they had all this different types of evidence. But now they have came forward and said that's not the case, that we don't have a lot of evidence. So this is not what I wanted to hear. But I already knew ahead of time that that video wasn't enough. But I was just hoping that they would have more. And to be honest, I don't see how someone cannot have more. I knew most people Google things, they text messages, they do all sorts of things that will add on to this evidence. There's phone calls, there's different things like that. So I really don't know. So to be honest, I need to see all the evidence so I can see if a ball was also dropped on the U.S. side, which I'm sure it is. Something is off. And I don't really see how you can do a full autopsy and then it's only 2 weeks after her passing away or being unalive. And you have undetermined cause of death. But oh yeah, I forgot. You said that because the body was already embalmed. So now that can probably affect the results. I don't know. To me, it probably would have been better if they actually had a cause of death. But since it's undetermined, their autopsy is not even better than Mexico. I mean, Mexico at least said like, oh, this is the cause of death. Over here, they don't even have a cause of death. So like a full autopsy, but then no results. A full autopsy, but then no final conclusion on the cause of death. So that's just as weird, in my opinion. And even if you don't have the exact cause of death, you do have somebody with that has sustained injuries all over their body, not in just a specific region that will indicate a fall, but all over their body, which indicate a violent attack. And guess what we have on video? A violent attack. So those two go hand in hand. So I'm going to review this full autopsy and then get back to y'all, because to me there's something in here that and also I would like to have all the evidence too, so I can actually see missing pieces, because to me there are sometimes that you might miss out on something because you're like consumed or with all this information. But if you actually put this out to the public and then the public examines it, there might have been bits and pieces that you might have missed that actually could make a stronger case. And this is going Easy Rider. That's going by the Cabo lies. Exactly. We obviously know that the Cabo is the one that said that she, after she was brutally attacked, she got up and went somewhere. That's just part of their cover up. We all know this. It's not what we know, is what can be proved. And since there's no cameras in the villa, then they had no choice but to go by statements. That's the problem here, y'all. We all know that Shanquella didn't get up and walk off or brutal attack and all these things. We already know this, but the FBI has to prove it. Okay, for example, like let's say that you come home and your house has been ransacked, and then someone has stolen all your things in your house. Okay. You don't have any cameras in your house. You don't have no cameras outside. The neighbors don't have cameras or anything, right? So you get home, all your stuff is ransacked. Somebody has stolen your things. So then you get home and like, okay, now I know somebody has been in my house. Like they have ransacked my house. There's stuff all over the place. They have stolen my jewelry, my TV, my electronics, and things like that, valuables. So you say, I know this happened because I can see the evidence of my stuff being messed with and my stuff stolen. But now you actually have to prove that it happened. And you have to actually prove who did it and what happened and everything else. So it's not just knowing something happened. You have to actually prove it. And you have to also say who. So they know that it was a brutal attack of Shanquella, and they saw that it was Desjardins brutally attacking her. But now there's other information out here saying that other people might have attacked her too. Remember, there are statements that have been put out here that it wasn't just Desjardins. So they need proof that those statements are false. People have said that Winter attacked and Khalil attacked and other people and Nazir attacked. There's information that has been put out here of other people attacking Shanquella. So now they need 100% proof that other people didn't come and attack her. They have Nazir that was left alone with her, the maid that was left alone with her. So they need 100% proof that it was Desjardins. They also need 100% proof that that what Desjardins did that morning in that video killed her, because she was still alive all the way until the doctor came. So how do they know that the fall didn't kill her, the maid didn't kill her, Nazir didn't kill her, or something the doctor did to her didn't kill her? They need 100%. They need 100% evidence of everything they say. They can't just say it. They have to prove it, and they have to prove like who did it. And to be honest, Mexico is the one that dropped the ball, because from day one, they should have looked at Shanquella and they should have kept up all the Cabo. And they say, do not leave Mexico until this investigation is complete. They should have actually not took the word that it was just drinking too much and accidental fall. And they should have investigated thoroughly and looked at even like videos and different things in their phone, like did their own investigation while they still at the Cabo in Mexico. And then now they won't have to wait for extradition because they will already have the Cabo already over there in Mexico. They dropped the ball. And also they didn't properly examine the crime scene. You think they actually did process that crime scene correctly with all of the evidence? Because if they did, the United States wouldn't say they don't have enough evidence, because Mexico would have gave them sufficient evidence. Mexico obviously didn't give them sufficient evidence. So that's why now they had to start from scratch to do their own investigation. And I'm telling you, it's one thing to say something happened and another thing to prove it. We can all say this happened, but the FBI and DOJ has to prove it. And there's two different things that people have to remember. There's a lot of things that you can probably accuse someone of doing, but you already know, like, there's probably something that you know someone did, you know 100% that they did it, but dang, you just cannot prove it. That's where you need like all kind of evidence and proof, and you can have all these thoughts in your mind, like this A plus A, I mean 1 plus 1 equals 2, but you have to actually prove it, and it's not as simple as people would think. To be honest, if it was like it wasn't a federal charge or a federal case, it will actually be brought to trial or court. And the reason I say that is because at the local level, there's less expectations of whether someone is going to win or lose. Like a lot of times people don't really care as much about whether we lose in court or not. If they feel like someone did something and they have at least enough evidence or probable cause or circumstantial evidence, they'll bring it to court. But at the federal level, that evidence has to be solid and strong before they bring it to court. That's why, to be honest, I just say to extradite to Mexico and let Mexico handle it. Let Mexico use their evidence and their information and what their resources and their things they want to, and their statements and their everything they gather to prosecute this case. Okay, there seems a lot of people want to discuss this. I'm going to post this and I will just see y'all tomorrow, y'all, because I can see right now there's a lot of comments and people want to discuss this, but I don't have time right now. Okay, let's see. Public. Full autopsy report. Okay, I've seen a lot of two. So at this timestamp right here, we're like an hour and 47 minutes in. I'm posting the full autopsy report. I also will post it in the description box, and I also will post it in the comment section. Make sure y'all hit the like button on the way out and get this video into the algorithm. And I will see y'all tomorrow, and we'll have more time to discuss this. And we'll also will have an open chat and panel so people can get on the panel and join in and give their thoughts and opinions. So I have posted it again for everyone that pressed 2. And I will see y'all tomorrow, and make sure y'all have a great rest of your day. And yeah, tomorrow is Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. That's a great day to continue this discussion. And who knows, by then we might actually have more information. And I'm sure that Sue Ann Robinson and Ben Crump, they might actually consider releasing more statements and more information. And I definitely would want to see this information. And I'm sure everybody out here would love to see more information on this whole thing. And definitely see the May statements and everything, because obviously we want to know why the FBI reached this conclusion. Why are they saying it's insufficient evidence? And obviously, if they are saying it's insufficient evidence, we want to see all the evidence they have, so then we can see why they came to this conclusion. Because we can say like, oh, well, they should have plenty of evidence, but we actually need to see what they actually have and what they feel and why they feel is insufficient. To me, that will actually bring things home if I can actually see all the evidence they have. And even then, to be honest, if I saw all the evidence they have, I will be still questioning some things. And the reason I would question some things is, to me, you should be able to gather all sorts of evidence that the regular, like, lay people couldn't be able to gather. So I don't really have access to request different, subpoena different information. So I really don't get it. And that's why I said I can't wait to see the full reports. All right, y'all. Smash that like button on your way out, and I will see y'all tomorrow.